The Prime Minister is facing a rebellion from within his own party this morning over his plans to scrap clean water regulations.
Now, peers in the House of Lords could block the government's bill to cut EU red tape if amendments are not made to protect swimmers and wildlife. This is a mess. This really is.
Yeah.
Joining us now, the diary editor of The Spectator, James Heale. James, maybe you can explain that better than we have tried to do it there. But basically, what we're worried about is that water firms, the government's going to go easy on them, and there's the possibility that there's not going to be big deterrents like 250 million quid fines. Why is this, or have we picked this up wrongly?
There's a couple of stories today, one of which is on the House of Lords. Currently, there's a legislation going through Parliament, which is the retained EU law, which is to get rid of 4,000 regulations we're going to carry over from Europe. But two of them in particular seem perhaps more controversial, one of which is the Water Framework Directive and the other is the Bathing Regulations Directive as well. And these two are about clean water, and I think perhaps people in the country obviously feel very different about that from some of the other sort of EU laws. Basically, peers in the House of Lords, Baroness Bakewell has put down an amendment which would ensure that these are kept in UK law. And if the government try to force a vote against that, it's likely the House of Lords will vote against that, and then it'll go back to the House of Commons, which could then see the MPs vote on it as well.
So the government, the House of Lords will be looking for an exception on two aspects of what the government are trying to get rid of. Why would the government, when you look at this, necessarily object to fining water companies?
So that's slightly different. That's a slightly different issue to this one. This one is about how what the regulations are in place as the framework. There's a separate story today, which I agree, which actually shows how this is very much in the news at the moment, which is about the fines in which they can impose on these companies, which is rising up to 250 million. It's to do with about what threat is proportionate. Now, the Environment Agency last month warned that they didn't think that 250 million was an appropriate level of fine, so there's perhaps a good reason in which you can reduce the level of fine from 250 million.
So meaning it was too high a fine?
Yes, perhaps, yeah.
Okay, I think we might disagree on that.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
I mean, what I don't understand is right at this moment, why would the government be introducing this kind of, bill? Because or even trying to abolish it. Because
just reassure people and say, look, whatever happens, believe me, we're going to stick in there and we're going to regulate these water companies.
Because it's not a vote winner. This is not going to be a vote winner, and they're going to have a rebellion in the House of Lords. So why are they doing this?
Well, quite. And I think 2 years ago we saw a similar rebellion with the Duke of Wellington, ironically putting down an amendment, and the government did meet its own Waterloo on that because we saw it go back to the Commons, and a lot of MPs then faced a backlash because voters are very concerned about this issue. Now, I think it's better on the government's duty to explain if they are going to actually fight against this in the House of Lords. Exactly. Today is the first signs we've seen the rebellion, the first warning shots in this, and I'm not sure yet what the government's position is going to fully be now. They've come out and they've said that we want to get rid of all the EU regulations and then have British equivalents and British replacements for that, and I can understand that. But I think also the danger is that you just see voters will get headlines which saying that the EU government wants to water down, ironically, the regulations without putting in a replacement in place. So I think that this is why the government will probably have to back down on this in the House of Lords.
Is this music to the water companies' ears?
I think that they want some kind of regulation framework, but the question is to think that, given the ongoing focus on their high pay, which the Times is on a very high profile on today, I think that this is sort of a bad time because the government has not been seen to act on this. We've had a lot of political turmoil, lots of multiple environment secretaries, and no one's actually done much on this. So I think that the companies themselves actually want some kind of lead on it. But given that the ongoing focus is about, should they be made criminally liable, etc., if the government don't act on this, I think Labour will move into this political space.